Hey guys, first Guardsman here, and I'll be talking about a last Fusil sniper build for patch 11.0 Space Marine 2. Now, the last Fusil has been one of the top tier weapons in this game since it came out. It is really no different in this patch. I still think this is the strongest weapon in the game as far as snipers are concerned. The Bolt Sniper Rifle on the heroic variant is definitely an S tier gun, but I feel like this one just has more utility. It's better versus factions like Chaos than the Bolt Sniper is, and also has a way better ammo economy. Now, there is a bit of an interaction in patch 11.0 where the targeted shot perk now has a lingering effect for the 75% damage buff from a shot that breaks camo cloak. They made it so this perk will have a lingering effect for things like burst weapons with the Instigator, but you can also get double shots off from your last Fusil with the buff if you have the perk here, Adamant Velocity. When your health is below 30%, shots charge 25% faster. Now, to pull this off, you do have to have this perk active and the rate of fire variant. The window is very tight, but it is possible, so kind of a little neat interaction there. And as far as the other perk tree options are concerned, I do take Perpetual Velocity first for a shot charge rate of 15%, moving into Adamant Velocity, moving into the perk Headhunter for 10% more headshot damage. Then I pick up the perk here, Perpetual Velocity, again to make our weapons charge even faster. And then I pick up the perk Charging Immunity. While charging a shot, you don't lose control from heavy hits. This perk is actually really nice to have because there are points in time where you'll be like point blank shooting lictors and stuff like that. And this is some of the only no knockback that the sniper can get whatsoever, so a pretty good option here. Honestly, underrated for sure. Next perk here is Headhunter for 10% more headshot damage on top of this. And then I move into a god tier perk here with Rapid Health, or excuse me, Instant Health. When your health is below 30%, killing 3 enemies or more with one shot restores health by 5%. This is really easy to trigger off a hip fire. You'll regen so much HP off the last Fusil, and this is one of the reasons I think the last Fusil is one of the top weapons in this entire game, because getting HP back off of your sniper rifle for horde clear is kind of insane. Like, Bolt Sniper Rifle is just not doing that. This one does have better per shot damage on things like Neurothropes and Zoanthrope, so the last Fusil has way more utility because of perks like this that I do think is a bit higher in the overall tier ranking. Next perk here is Headhunter for 10% more headshot damage, moving down here into increased capacity and increased capacity. Now, the reason we take both of these perks here is because the perk over here in our Prestige perk tree, Versatile Precision, performing a kill with your secondary weapon restores 15% of your primary weapon's ammo. Cooldown is 15 seconds. This is a percentage-based restore, so having this will actually give you back 2 shots per trigger if you have both these perks, rather than a simple one shot. So that is really valuable for us, which is why we pick this up instead of recoupment. So if you want to skip over this and pick up this perk instead, you can definitely do that. That is up to you. I'm pretty sure if you take one of these on top of high capacity, you might be able to get 2 shots back off a single Versatile Precision. I don't think that's actually the case, though. I'm pretty sure you only get one, but either way, I would probably just pick up these 2 final perks down here. Now, for the secondary, I do take the Heroic Bolt Pistol. This one has a 3-round burst mechanic, and the reason I take this primarily is because the last Fusil is not bad at triggering perks here, like the Pattern of Excellence Signature perk, performing 3 consecutive headshots, restores equipment charged by 1, cooldown is 30 seconds. This perk is top tier, and having your Bolt Pistol be able to instantly trigger this on a warrior and stuff like that is really nice to have. It does save you a ton of ammo to like not be trying to do 3 consecutive headshots on your last Fusil all the time and wasting ammo on this when you could just be spending your secondary, and spamming out melted bombs easily is just super useful for us. Now, for the perk tree, I do just go down the bottom row first, the Great Might, into the perk Retaliation. After a perfect time dodge, you deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. Now, this perk is really nice to have. Triggering a perfect dodge, is not really that difficult on the sniper at all. I will say, though, if you go down the top row first, you will get more base damage because this perk setup here, it will only give you more damage in the top row with Headhunter if you actually trigger this perk. But like I said, triggering this perk is very difficult. Next perk here is Iron Grip, moving up to Gunstrike Reload. Then I pick up the perk here, Divine Might. Then I pick up Extended Magazine, Headhunter, and of course, Elite Hunter. After killing a Major's level or higher enemy with a melee weapon, headshots deal 50% more damage for 10 seconds. Now, you don't need a melee weapon to actually trigger this perk, you just have to execute an enemy, and also, you have to keep in mind that to trigger this perk, you have to have your secondary equipped. If you swap off your secondary for any reason, you will lose the effect, but 50% bonus headshot damage is really nice, and a 10-second uptime is pretty long. And the final perk I grab here is Headhunter, and that's pretty much all there is for the secondary here. Now, for my melee weapon, I do take a block knife. I know, daring today, aren't we? But this weapon is still the best on sniper, in my opinion. I think Power Gladius is very strong now as well. This can definitely be better for some builds because they did buff up the heroic perk here, Agile Strike. We'll talk about this at some other point in time. For now, I would take a block knife. I think this is overall the best because armor restore on the sniper is very valuable. Having stagger on the sniper is super valuable for things like lictors, and lictors are probably one of the harder enemies on this class in general, and this weapon does a pretty good job of dealing with them. Now, for the perk tree, I would set up this way: perpetual strength moving here into kinetic energy first. Kinetic energy says each consecutive heavy attack increases heavy attack melee damage by 3% up to 30% for 3 seconds. Unfortunately in this game, or fortunately depending on who you ask, heavy attacks are pretty much all that matters on 99% of weapons, so pretty much always pick this up. Next perk here is perpetual strength, moving here into the perk heavy onslaught. Then I pick up reeling blow, go up here to tide of battle, and I pick up shoulder bash. Now, shoulder bash is better than distance stab in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of distance stab at all. I think it really locks you into an animation pretty horribly. If you want to like skip over this and take that perk anyways, I would just take a perpetual strength, move here into hard target instead. But either way, I would move down here to shadow stab after this for the single target damage, and I pick up Extremis Slayer because I find Extremis damage is just way more valuable overall than picking up the Terminus damage up here. And that's pretty much all there is for the melee weapon perk tree. Now, for our main sniper perk tree, I once again grab Melee Mastery. Melee damage increases by 20% against Majority level and higher enemies. This is kind of like a nice catch-all for everything you want to do significant melee damage to. 20% melee damage boost against these enemies is nice, especially with a block knife, because a block knife already does a ton of melee damage. Then I move here into the perk adaptability, which is while reloading or having low ammo, or manually activating camo cloak, increase melee damage by 25% for 10 seconds. This is just a nice melee damage bonus for a pretty decent uptime for something you do all the time in this game. Now, some people might like the perk Vantage Point, remaining stationary for 2 seconds, increases your ranged weapons damage by 20%. I don't think this perk is very good at all. Like, staying stationary in this game is just not a good idea, even with ammo cloak. Usually you're draining your cloak for no reason, and it just doesn't really fit the playstyle of sniper all that well, to be honest. Like, this perk really could use a buff or something like that, like a 1 second charge time or stationary time would be nice instead. But as far as this perk is concerned, I do prefer this one. Next perk is Lethal Efficiency, killing more than one enemy with one shot from a last few source is charged by 1. This is the best perk in this whole row for us, because guess what? These other two do absolutely jack fucking shit. So Iron Grip, useless for us. Dexterous Hands, useless for us. So this is the only one that affects the last fusel at all, so pretty much always pick it up. Kind of a no-brainer, you know, that's just the way this column is. They should really rework this, but for now, this should be a weapon perk, but it's not. Next perk here is Marksmanship, headshot damage increased by 10% for all of your squad members. This is nice to pick up some breakpoints and just deal some more headshot damage in the game in general. Now, in patch 11, they did buff up precision targeting. Weapon spread is reduced by 25%, and range damage against extremis and terminus level enemies is increased by 15% for all of your squad members. This is a bit better, but to be honest, I still think this one is better, and the squad renewal is definitely better. If you want to pick up this perk on top of purification instead of this combo here, you definitely could, but I'm just taking this one today for that extra damage and breakpoint potential. Next perk after this is Renewal. A headshot kill restores camo cloaks charged by 15%. This simply allows you to get your camo cloak back. Without this perk or squad renewal, you are kind of a shit out of luck when it comes to getting your camo cloak back in this game. Definitely make sure to pick up at least one of these two perks, because to be honest, these two kind of feel like fundamental to the sniper's playstyle, and without them, he feels like severely gimped. Next perk here is Targeted Shot. The first range attack that breaks Camo Cloak deals 75% more damage. We take this for the reasons I previously mentioned, that Targeted Shot just lets you one-shot Tyranid Warriors and stuff like that. You can also get that double shot off, so really nice for us. And the next perk up here is Persistence. When Camo Cloak deactivates, you take 20% less health damage and don't lose control from heavy hits, and can't be knocked back for 10 seconds. This perk is amazing health damage reduction, amazing no knockback. Having no knockback in this game on the sniper class is really hard to find. This is like the only perk in the entire tree here that gives you any type of like a general no knockback for a long uptime, so really good option here. Now, if you do want to take a Lingering Concealment instead, you could do this. This is also a very good perk. I just prefer this one for this build because I think this really synergizes well with the block knife. Now, the perk down here, Ambush, did get buffed this patch, but still pretty mediocre, but like one day I'll make a build around this. And the final perk is the signature perk, Pattern of Excellence. Performing 3 consecutive headshots restores equipment charged by 1. The cooldown is 30 seconds. This perk is God tier. 30-second Melt-A-Bombs, 30-second Shock Nades, Crack Grenades, even Frags. These will just win you encounters. They'll win you encounters in every single mode in the game, from Siege mode to Hard Stratagems to Operations. Really good perk, by far the best in the entire row here, or column I should say, and I pretty much always pick this up for like a quote-unquote meta build. And that's pretty much all there is for the perk tree here. And now for the prestige perks, I do take Emperor's Grace for the 2 seconds of invulnerability on Camo Cloak. This just allows you to survive opportunities, or excuse me, survive areas that you would otherwise just eat shit in, because being invulnerable in Space Marine 2 allows you to phase through any attack in the entire game, not get knocked back. And that might not sound like a big deal, but it actually gives you a ton of opportunities for counterplay, so a really great perk here. I think this is like one of the more well-designed perks in the entire game, because it doesn't feel overpowered, but it does feel very strong, and does give you a ton of opportunities for like unique playstyles. Next perk here is Versatile Precision for the reasons we previously mentioned, to give you your ammo economy back. And the final perks are Conviction for a 25% health damage reduction for 15 seconds on armor break, and Exacting Focus for 20% more range damage for 10 seconds after a gun strike. This perk makes you crazy tanky for a class that usually has no damage reduction outside of like one perk in our perk tree. And this perk here is just bonus range damage for something you do all the time, which is gun striking. And that's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The last Fusil is pretty self-explanatory. This gun absolutely rips shit. It has been that way since the game came out. It is simply a top tier gun. I still think this gun is like high A, if not S tier. It is good versus Chaos and Tyranids, and if you're trying to go for like a good sniper build in general, you really can't go wrong with this gun. And hopefully this guide helped. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thank you for watching. Hey guys, first regards from here, and I'll be talking about a heroic Instigator Bolt Carbine build for the sniper class in patch 11.0 Space Marine 2. Now, the new heroic Instigator Bolt Carbine, the Wrapped Edition, is by far the best Instigator Bolt Carbine in this game. It has a better DPS output than every single relic tier option, which does kind of suck because these have pretty much been completely power crept. The only place where these weapons are better than the Instigator Heroic version is if you're at like very long range, because this one is definitely better at like close to medium range. But to be honest, if you are using a heroic version, or really any Instigator Bolt Carbine, you're going to be wanting to be close to medium range anyways, so it's really just all upside in my opinion. And for the perk tree here, I do just build it down this way with Extended Magazine into the perk here, Reload Restoration. After reloading, the ammo reserve is restored by 50% of the number of enemies hit, cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity. Now I will say, if you want to take the top tree here, and pick up the perk Headhunter and the perk here Efficient Hunter for like that little bit of extra damage, you definitely can, but I don't really find this like super valuable. I think the ammunition Extended Magazine is just nicer to fire for longer, and having this does up your ammo economy tremendously, so it's just my preferred. Next perk here is Divine Might for a 10% damage increase. Then I pick up the perk here Fast Reload for having our weapon reload 10% faster. Moving down here into the perk Increased Capacity, and then I pick up the perk A Great Might for 10% bonus against Terminus. To be honest, this weapon's not like super amazing versus a lot of Terminus in the game. It's okay versus a Neurothrope. Its damage is not remotely as good as a Bolt Sniper Rifle or Stalker Bolt Rifle, but it is pretty good for them, and this does help out a little bit. Next perk here is Recoupment. Killing a resource level or higher enemy with a headshot this weapon restores an armor segment. Cooldown is 15 seconds. Now, having Armor Restore built into your weapon is incredible. This perk is on basically every single bolt weapon in Space Marine 2, and it's really good on all of them, because any amount of armor remaining in Space Marine 2 will reduce an incoming melee hit to 0 damage no matter what, including from bosses, so a really valuable option here. And having drip-fed armor also really helps out with perks like Conviction that we have over here. They give us a 25% health damage reduction for 15 seconds on armor break, so cycling back into that's quite easy. Now, the perk up here, Tactical Precision, headshots deal 20% more damage, and non-headshot damage it decreases by 10%. This is pretty much a mandatory perk in my opinion. Now, in the actual code for this game, this is supposedly a 30% headshot damage increase and a 10% reduction to all range damage, and it's actually better than it sounds initially, but either way, this perk is incredible. Pretty much always pick it up. And even if you were to like build all the way down this row or all the way down the bottom row to pick up Death Strike and perks like Inspired Aim, this perk will still give you more damage if you pick up things like Headhunter and go all the way down this row instead, because it is just that good. Headshots are pretty much all that matter on bolt weapons in the first place, and this one just ups that, so pretty much always grab it. Next perk here is Headhunter. Then I move here into the perk Rapid Health. When your health is below 30%, killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores your health by 10%. This is really nice on the sniper because the sniper is actually quite tanky with Conviction active. And if you have this extra bit of HP to make sure you don't get one shot, that is pretty useful. Now on siege mode, you will get one shot regardless at times with this, or like some of the hard stratagems, but still pretty nice to have. And the next perk here you could take instead is Perpetual Penetration, and just like skip over the Fast Reload perk here if you wanted to. I decided to take this one instead because this one has a fairly long reload speed. Now, as far as the secondary option goes, I do take the Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol. This one is kind of a maligned weapon in Space Marine 2 currently. A lot of people think this thing sucks. I think this is one of the best heroic weapons in the game currently. The gun strike of this gun is the highest in the entire game. The heroic perk effect here is called No Help Is Coming. Shooting an enemy with the Elite Scream status effect stops you from calling for reinforcements, and headshots kill in one shot. Now, since you are one-shotting the reinforcement calling guys on top of the fact you are removing the horde they would be calling, you're actually saving a lot of ammo, so the low magazine capacity and ammo reserves of this really don't hurt that much. They could boost up the ammo reserves a bit in my opinion, but either way, it is still very good, and usually, in absolute difficulty or hard stratagems, an elite calling enemy will just go into enraged mode regardless, like if you actually interrupt their call at all, so you're really removing an enraged enemy on top of the horde, which is really, really nice for like one shot, which is why I do like this weapon quite a bit, on top of that gun strike damage. Now, for the perk tree on this, I just go all the way down the bottom row. Like, the only majorly important perks here are like Death Strike for 25% more damage on a melee kill or finisher, and the perk here, Able Damage, after using class ability damage increased by 20% for 10 seconds, and the perk up here, Tactical Precision, once again, for the reasons I previously stated, and that's pretty standard here. Now, if you're playing this on like the Tactical or something, I would just go up this row instead, because they don't have like a super like useful class ability to spam out like we do on a camo cloak and stuff like that, but you know, that is up to you. Next weapon here is the Power Gladius. This is the heroic combat knife. This weapon is incredible in Space Marine 2 currently for patch 11.0. They buffed up the heroic perk effect Agile Strike. After a perfect dodge, the next melee attack deals 120% more damage, can be stacked up to 3 times. This one will now last 1 second after the initial attack, so you get a 360% damage bonus potentially on like a heavy attack. That is tremendous. I think this is like the best in slot knife in the entire game currently. Even the block knife has kind of just been like power crept by this one. It is a bit harder to use because it is a balanced weapon, but even with that in mind, the bonus damage of this thing on top of a 7+ speed is tremendous, and it feels really good to use, and like the only thing that kind of sucks is just that balance window. Now, for the perk tree here, I do build it a little bit differently than the block knife. I pick up Perpetual Strength, moving here into the perk Kinetic Energy for more heavy attack damage, then I move here into the perk Perpetual Strength, a Perpetual Strength once again for a 10% melee damage increase. Then we grab the perk here, a Heavy Onslaught, for even more heavy attack damage, and then I grab the perk Reeling Blow into Shadow Stab, because this perk will just straight up one-shot a Lictor and stuff like that, while Agile Strike is active, like up to a certain point. And the next perk here is Extremis Slayer, and the final perk is Hard Target, which is while performing a light combo, you take 15% less range damage. This is actually pretty easy to trigger on this weapon because we have a 7+ speed, which is why I pick it up on here, where like otherwise I would kind of just forego it on a block knife for the 4+ speed. You know, that is up to you as well. You could go up here for Shoulder Bash and like skip these 2 perks, but I decided to take it this way today. Now, for the perk tree, I did take the perk Melee Mastery first. Melee damage increases by 20% against patrols level and higher enemies, moving here into the perk Adaptability for even more melee damage after our Camo Cloak is activated or we have low ammo. This perk is very strong. A 25% melee damage buff for 10 seconds is really nice to have, and this perk is just really nice to have on top of that, on top of the Agile Strike damage, because you will just hit like a truck while this perk effect is active, and having all these extra melee damage bonuses on top of that is just a really nice perk effect to have. Next perk here is Dexterous Hands. Bolt carbines reload 20% faster, and their weapon spread and recoil reduced by 15%. You know, this is kind of a no-brainer to take here because this perk and this perk do literally nothing for you on this build, so definitely pick this one up. Next perk here is Up to You with Marksmanship. Headshot damage increases by 10% for all of your squad members. I just like to have this perk quite a bit. You know, if you want to have a super safe build setup here, you could take Squad Renewal and Purification. Purification gives all of your CHP back on a Camo Cloak, which is incredible in this game, and Squad Renewal just enables your Camo Cloak. If you are going to be taking like any perk here that's not Squad Renewal, I would just take Renewal, because without one of these 2 perks, your Camo Cloak is like basically fucking worthless half the time, so definitely pick up at least one of these, but I'm taking Marksmanship and Renewal here today. Next perk here is Targeted Shot. The first range attack that breaks Camo Cloak deals 75% more damage. Now, in patch 11.0, they did buff up this perk to work on the burst weapons for like 5 shots, and 5 shots is the entire burst of your heroic Instigator Carbine. That is another reason this is like the best in slot option for all the Instigator bolt carbines currently, because the other ones here, they only get 3 shots of bonus damage off of targeted shots. Like, you're actually better off going for tactical ambush with them. But on this one, you can get 5 whole shots with a 75% damage increase. That is damn well enough to like nearly put a Tyranid warrior into execute off a single cloak. That's a really strong option, so that's why I like this perk in combo here quite a bit. Next perk here is Persistence. When Camo Cloak deactivates, you take 20% less health damage and don't lose control from heavy hits and can't be knocked back for 10 seconds. This perk is like the only 10-second no knockback the sniper can get, period. The only other no knockback effect in this entire game for sniper is like in his weapon perk tree, and the perk down here with Indomitable Spirit for no knockback on gun strikes, which we're also taking. But I do like this one quite a bit because 20% less health damage is really nice for tanking, for having like a tankiness to our class, on top of Conviction here for a 25% health damage reduction, and these two combined will take to like 45%, which is pretty good. Now, Lingering Concealment is very strong as well if you want to take this one instead. We know that is up to you. And they also buffed up the perk here, Ambush, this patch. This one is still pretty ass, so I would skip over it, but if you want to take this for like the memes, you definitely could do that as well. Next perk here is the signature perk, Pattern of Excellence, performing 3 consecutive headshots, restores equipment charged by 1. The cooldown is 30 seconds. Now, this is a god tier perk in Space Marine 2, being able to get 30-second melt-a-bombs, crack grenades, shock grenades, frags, you name it. Melt-a-bombs will carry entire encounters on their own. Wiping out an Extremis during a boss spawn will save your life half the time, and this is also like your main form forward clear on this entire class in general, because without Melt-a-Bomb spam, this class doesn't have like an easy answer to triple lictors and stuff like that, so I would definitely take this perk. Now, for the Prestige perk selection, I went for something a little different here. I am skipping over Versatile Precision on this build. We do have a pretty good ammo economy on our Instigator bolt carbine here with Reloaded Restoration, so like if you don't want to take this perk, you really don't have to. So I decided to go for Emperor's Grace first, into the perk here versus, not versatility, Indomitable Spirit, into Conviction and Exacting Focus. Since we are doing more gun strikes with our weapon here, the Power Gladius, thanks to the balanced defense window, we will be actually triggering this all the time for a 20% damage buff, which is really damn good in this game. A 20% range damage buff for 10 seconds is pretty damn strong, and Emperor's Grace has been a god tier perk for like ever, and Indomitable Spirit is nice to have because there are times where you will not have this perk active for the no knockback, and having that no knockback on your gun strike will just save your life. So definitely grab this one for this build, in my opinion. If you do want to skip over this for Versatile Precision, you could. That is up to you, but either way, I would take the final perk here, Conviction, for that 25% health damage reduction, because without this, you will simply die in times where like otherwise you would survive. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Prestige perk tree, and that's pretty much all I have to say about this build. There is a lot to talk about with the sniper class. The DPS output of this weapon is tremendous at close range, but like it can be difficult for people to like properly hit all the 5-round bursts at long range. This is primarily a close to medium range weapon. If you're trying to go for like a long range build, I would take a bolt sniper or like a Stalker bolt rifle. I'll probably talk about these again at some other point in time, but for now, this is a pretty king weapon for the close range combat, and hopefully this build guide helped you. Hey guys, it's time to talk about an Invasion Power Gladius build for the sniper class in patch 11.0 Space Marine 2. Now, the Power Gladius is, in my opinion, the strongest knife in Space Marine 2 currently, and the heroic perk effect here is called Agile Strike. After a perfect dodge, the next melee attack deals 120% more damage and can be stacked up to 3 times. Now, in patch 11, they made it so this effect will linger for 1 second after the initial attack, which means you can get off a ton of light hits, like a light and a heavy, or just one gigantic fat shadow stab, which is what we're building around today, because the perk here, Evasion, I am finally building around this for like the first time ever. After a perfect time dodge, a Camo Cloak automatically activates without spending a charge for 5 seconds, so the cooldown is 30 seconds. This perk actually has a pretty nice synergy with the Power Gladius. You will get the perfect dodge, you will go invisible and be able to do a guaranteed Shadow Strike, or not Shadow Strike, a Shadow Stab, and then also trigger the perk here, Tactical Ambush, for 150% more damage on top of that. You will do a stupid amount of damage, a really fun combo here, not quite as strong as like a Precise Calibration Auspex on like a full stack on the Power Gladius on the Tactical, but Sniper with an Auspex can one-shot a boss on this, so pretty good synergy there. Now, for the perk tree on this weapon, I do start off with Perpetual Strength first. Melee damage increases by 5%. Moving here into the perk Kinetic Energy, each consecutive heavy attack increases heavy attack melee damage by 3%, up to 30% for 3 seconds. This is pretty nice for horde control, especially with our 7+ speed, because we do get the Skull Crushers off quite easily. Next perk here, Perpetual Strength, move up here in Perpetual Strength once again. Now, I do pick up this one on top of the other options, just because I think that having the maxed out melee damage on this weapon in particular is actually quite good for us. And the next perk I take is Heavy Onslaught. Heavy attacks with this weapon deal 15% more melee damage. Now, this perk will affect Shadow Stab, so you actually get that 50% buff on top of your Shadow Stab damage. So, really good for single target damage, and picking up this perk for your Shadow Stab in the first place, pretty much mandatory on the knife in my opinion, because without this, you are losing so much damage potential on a combat knife, there's really just no reason to take it over a chainsword or anything else like that, so definitely pick it up. Next perk here is Ruling Blow, moving up into the perk Tide of Battle, and the final perk I grab is Terminus Slayer, because I am just going for boss damage on this, because boss damage is like the big selling point of this weapon in my opinion. You also do so much damage with this on top of Tactical Ambush anyways, that having Extremis Slayer can kind of be redundant at times, so that's just up to you if you want to take these two, but I decided to take this one today. Now, for the primary weapon here, I did take the Heroic Bolt Sniper Rifle. Now, you may be wondering, why the hell are we taking the Heroic Bolt Sniper? I thought you said this weapon was bad. This weapon is not bad. It is just primarily useful versus Tyranids. You will still be able to one-shot Tyranids and stuff like that. And the main reason I like this weapon is that we can take Tactical Ambush and also still be able to one-shot Tyranid Warriors on true solo operations with the Heroic Bolt Sniper Rifle, because the ×10 headshot multiplier does so much damn damage in this game. You don't actually need targeted shot to one execute a guy, so really good synergy there, which is why I like this weapon quite a bit, though make sure you actually hit your shots. Now, for the perk tree, I do start off with Extended Magazine, moving here into the perk Divine Might for a 10% damage increase. Then I pick up the perk here, Finisher Reload, go down to the perk Adamantine Grip. Then I grab Fast Reload, Increase Capacity, Headhunter, and then I pick up the perk Strong Start, finishing off with Cleaving Fire and Recoupment for armor at range. That's pretty much all there is for the perk tree on this weapon. And the secondary I chose today is Retribution's Bequest, the Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol. This gun has the highest gun strike damage in the entire game, on top of the heroic perk effect No Help Is Coming. Shooting enemy with the Elite Scream status effect stops it from calling for reinforcements, and headshots will kill in one shot. Now, despite this thing only having a 6 magazine capacity and a 48 ammo reserve, it's actually going to save you more ammo from this thing, especially on absolute difficulty or hard stratagems, because usually when an enemy is calling for reinforcements and you shoot them, they will go in rage. So being able to remove the reinforcement call instantaneously on top of one-shotting the enraged enemy is super useful and does save you a ton of ammo, so pretty nice synergy there. Though, unfortunately, in the 11.1 hotfix, they did break this perk a little bit. Body shots are currently not stopping elite screams from, calling reinforcements, which is pretty dumb. Like, maybe they'll fix that by patch 12. Maybe they'll fix it in the next fiscal year. We'll see. Saber Interactive is not well known for hot fixes at all, and they actually broke this perk in an update for this gun to fix the hip fire. So the hip fire is pretty good now. This perk is only half working, but still pretty damn good. I still think this thing is worth taking. Now, for the perk tree, I do start off with Divine Might first, moving here to Perpetual Penetration, increase capacity for more ammo reserves, and then I grab Extended Magazine into the perk Death Strike. After killing resource over higher enemy in melee combat, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds, and this will also trigger off a finisher, so just keep that in mind. Then we grab the perk here, Great Might, into Strong Start, on top of the perk Able Damage. After using a class ability, damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. Now, the Sniper uses their cloak all the time, so this is pretty much up 24/7. Really good synergy there. And the final perks I grab are Home Precision for even better hipfire accuracy, Gun Strike Reload, and of course Tactical Precision, because headshot damage matters way more than body shot damage, so definitely pick this one up. That's pretty much all there is for the secondary here. Now, for the perk tree, I do start off with Melee Mastery. Melee damage increases by 20% against majority level and higher enemies. This is a multiplicative damage increase, incredibly potent damage buff for your melee attacks on top of a Power Gladius, and honestly, the Sniper has better melee in this game than the Vanguard does currently in terms of damage with a knife, which is pretty hilarious, but that's just the way it is, so definitely pick this up. Next perk here is Adaptability. Reloading while having a low ammo or manually activating Camo Cloak increases melee damage by 25% for 10 seconds. This perk is incredible. You are going to be using Camo Cloak all the time, so a free damage buff for that is quite nice, and a 10-second uptime is a very long uptime. The next perk I grab here is Iron Grip. Weapon spread recoil reduced by 20%, and range damage against terminus level enemies increased by 15% for both sniper rifles and Stalker bolt rifles. We're using a bolt sniper rifle, so definitely pick this up because these other two perks do literally nothing for this build, which is pretty stupid. They should put these perks in the weapon trees, but for now, the core perk tree of sniper is just like forcing your hand to certain perks if you pick any type of weapon. That's just the way it is. Next perk here is Marksmanship. Headshot damage increases by 10% for all squad members. This perk helps you pick up some breakpoints to actually one-shot guys and to execute without targeted shots, so really nice to have. And the next perk here is Renewal. A headshot kill restores camo cloaks charged by 15%. If you are not taking one of these two perks with Squad Renewal or Renewal, your Camo Cloak is way less effective, so definitely grab one of them. Next perk here is Tactical Ambush. The first melee attack that breaks Camo Cloak deals 150% more damage. This perk is super nice. We don't need targeted shot on this. You could take targeted shot if you want. It's not bad by any means. It's just that this is better for our Power Gladius. This is better for the Bolt Sniper. Next weapon perk here is, next gear perk is Persistence. When Camo Cloak deactivates, you take 20% less health damage and will lose control from heavy hits and can't be knocked back for 10 seconds. Now, this one has an amazing synergy with evasion because you'll be having that 30-second cooldown on your evasion trigger every now and then, and getting that perfect dodge into Camo Cloak will trigger this perk and will also trigger Tactical Ambush, so really nice to have there, especially when you pop out. Now, some people may want to use the perk down here, Ambush. When your Camo Cloak deactivates, it startles and slows down nearby enemies for 10 seconds, and they will temporarily lose control or get knocked back, and the cooldown is 15 seconds. To be honest, guys, this perk got buffed. It still sucks ass. It's just not worth taking. It needs to be like damage or something. It might be way better, but this one and this one here are just currently far better for the sniper class than ambushes. It's kind of funny to use this perk, but like it's really more of a meme build. Now for the prestige perk tree, I do take Emperor's Grace first. When Camo Cloak activates, you become invulnerable to damage for 2 seconds, and then I pick up the perk here, Indomitable Spirit, for no knockback on gun strikes, and the perk Conviction for health damage reduction when our armor breaks, and then I grab Versatility here. After a gun strike, you deal 20% more range damage for 10 seconds. We do skip over Versatile Precision because the Heroic Bolt Sniper Rifle cannot benefit from this perk at all. Pretty stupid that you have to spend 750 requisition points every single time that you want to actually use a Heroic Bolt Sniper Rifle or like a different build, so pretty dumb. That's just the way it is in the game currently, and that's pretty much all I have to say about this build, guys. This weapon is really fun. Evasion is pretty damn entertaining. I do think Pattern of Excellence is definitely better, but the ability to actually get some boss damage off on this perk is pretty strong. It is definitely way better than they seem initially. I do hope they lower the cooldown at some point to like 20 seconds or something, but for now, it's still usable, still viable, still pretty fun, and that's pretty much all I have to say in this one. Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about a Marksman Bolt Carbine build for the Sniper class in patch 11.2 of Space Marine 2. Now, the Marksman Bolt Carbine is the carpal tunnel king of this game. It is one of the only semi-automatic weapons in the entirety of Space Marine 2, which is kind of funny to think about, but the variant we've chosen today is, of course, the headshot multiplier version, because headshot damage is just by far the most important option for the Bolt Carbine on pretty much every variant ever, but the automatic versions have a higher headshot multiplier at close range. This one just has two versions that either have a higher ammo capacity or a higher headshot multiplier. This is the overall best one in my opinion. Now for the perk tree, the first perk I get here is Headhunter for 10% more headshot damage. Moving here to the perk Rapid Health. When your health is below 30%, killing 7 enemies rapid succession restores your health by 10%. And then we move here into the perk Home Precision. Equipped weapons maximum spread decreases by 50% when firing without aiming. And now both of these perks are pretty good. I just think they're overall better on the automatic variant, but we still pick them up here because they will still function. Like Rapid Health will trigger on Spore Mines and Cultists, and Home Precision will help occasionally. I just think the automatic variant benefits a little bit more from them, but we're taking the Marksman today. Next perk here is Divine Might for a 10% damage increase, picking up Headhunter and Headhunter for a 20% headshot damage increase collectively. Then I move down here for Extended Magazine and Divine Might. Then I pick up the perk here, Cleaving Fire. Shots will penetrate enemy block stances, dealing 25% of the usual damage. This damage benefit is pretty pitiful, to be honest. Not a super good perk. We need to pick this one up to move here into the great perk, Adamant Hunter. When your health is below 30%, headshots will deal 25% more damage. 25% more headshot damage on a Carbine in this game is a pretty substantial damage increase, definitely noticeable, and being below 30% HP on Sniper is really not too bad because you have the perk here, Purification, to restore your CHP if you take this, on top of things like Conviction down here for a 25% health damage reduction for 15 seconds on Armor Break, which will save your life, so really not as bad as it may seem. Next perk here is Perpetual Precision, moving here into the other god tier perk, Recoupment. Killing a Majora's level or higher enemy with a headshot with this weapon restores 1 armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. This perk is incredible. Being able to restore armor on a drip feed is just top tier in this game in general. This really is one of the best options you can possibly have, and armor segment restores in Space Marine 2 will save you a ton of HP, because any amount of armor remaining in Space Marine 2 will reduce all incoming melee damage to 0, even from bosses. So great perk here, and that's pretty much all there is for the Bolt Carbine. Now for the secondary, we do take the Honorific Relic Tier Bolt Pistol. This is the heroic variant of the standard Bolt Pistol with the heroic perk effect called Burst Fire. You can fire shots in 3-round burst. This is a really good perk effect in general, but really good for us in particular because we are taking the perk over here, Pattern of Excellence. Performing 3 consecutive headshots restores equipment charged by 1. The cooldown is 30 seconds. Now, the entire burst fire of your pistol will count as an individual shot for each shot in the actual burst, so it'll actually trigger this on a single burst fire, which is a pretty great synergy, which is why I picked this one up. Now, for the perk tree on this thing, we do start with the perk Great Might. Damage increases by 10%. Moving here into the perk Retaliation. After a perfectly timed dodge, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. When this perk is active, you will get more overall damage than if you were to go up the top tree, so just keep that in mind, but you actually have to get the perfect dodge to trigger that full damage potential. Next perk here is Iron Grip, moving up here into the perk Gunstrike Reload. After a Gunstrike, this weapon will instantly reload. This perk is pretty damn useful on pretty much any option that you're going to be using for a melee weapon, because Gunstrikes will happen all the time in this game. It'll also trigger off like Minora's finishers and stuff like that. Next perk here is Divine Might for a flat 10% damage increase. Then I pick up the perk Extended Magazine up here into Headhunter for another 10% damage increase on our headshots. And then we pick up the God tier perk Elite Hunter. After killing a Majora's level or higher enemy with a melee weapon, headshots will deal 50% more damage for 10 seconds. Now, to trigger this perk, you have to have your secondary equipped, and if you swap off your secondary for any reason, you will lose this perk effect. Just keep that in mind, but I also want to say this will trigger off a finisher, not just a Majora's melee kill, so keep that in mind as well. This perk is really damn strong. A 50% bonus to your headshot damage is incredible, and a 10-second uptime is a pretty substantial uptime, so definitely pick this one up. Final perk here is Headhunter for another headshot damage increase of 10%, and that's pretty much all there is for our secondary on this build. Now, for the melee weapon here, we do take the Block Combat Knife. This is a different option I've been taking recently. Usually I take the Power Gladius because the Power Gladius is really damn strong right now, but I'm going back to the Block Knife just for like a little bit of a fun time, mainly because I'm also not taking the Evasion perk here today, and so we're going back to Pattern of Excellence. But if you want to take Power Gladius, you definitely can. Now, for the perk tree, I would go down the bottom tree first with Perpetual Strength and for Kinetic Energy. Then I pick up Perpetual Strength and Perpetual Strength once again for a 10% melee damage increase. Then we grab Heavy Onslaught here because this also increases our Shadow Stab damage. And then we grab the perk here, Reeling Blow, Shadow Stab, because this is like the best single target perk in this entire tree. Tide of Battle, and of course, Extremis Slayer. Now, if you want to go up here for Terminus Slayer instead, you definitely can. That is up to you, but like in general, 99% of combat knife builds look the same, and like pretty much build this way for like any weapon version, period, like fencing or balance. It is up to you, but you can swap some stuff around, like Hard Target if you want, or even go up here for like Combined Onslaught instead. But to be honest, like there aren't a ton of good options on the combat knife, and it's like the overall best setup in my opinion. Now, for the perk tree, we start off with the perk Melee Mastery. Melee damage increases by 20% against Majora's level and higher enemies. This is the overall best in this column, in my opinion. Medicae Adept is just not that good at all, and the perk up here, Block Break, is okay, but this one's just overall better. Now, the next perk here is Adaptability. Reloading while having low ammo or manually activating Camo Cloak increases melee damage by 25% for 10 seconds. This perk generates a lot of value because a 25% melee damage buff for 10 seconds is a pretty decent damage buff for a pretty long uptime, on top of the fact that using Camo Cloak happens all the time on pretty much every single sniper build ever, so pretty much 100% uptime this game during combat. Next perk here is Dexterous Hands. Bolt Carbines reload 20% faster and their weapon spread and recoil reduced by 15%. This perk is just a no-brainer because the perk up here, Iron Grip, does literally nothing for us. Same thing down here, Lethal Efficiency. So just grab this one because Dexterous Hands is the only one that actually functions for bolt carbines. Next perk here is Marksmanship. Headshot damage increases by 10% for all team members. This one's pretty nice to have, a nice little damage buff here. And also, we just pick up Renewal down here, which is the headshot kill restores Camo Cloak's charge by 15% to make sure we have a good Camo Cloak economy. Now, if you want to take the perk Purification instead, I would swap the team perk for Squad Renewal because this will give you a 10% ability charge back for a headshot kill. And really, you want at least one of these two perks, because if you don't have renewal or squad renewal, you will just take forever to regen your camo cloak, and is a terrible way to play sniper in my opinion. The next perk here is Tactical Ambush. The first melee attack that breaks camo cloak deals 150% more damage. This perk is pretty nice on like pretty much every sniper build, and even though targeted shot does have a lingering effect in patch 10.0 plus, or excuse me, patch 11.0 plus, I don't think it's really worth taking on a Marksman Carbine. Next perk here is Persistence. When Camo Cloak deactivates, you will take 20% less health damage and will not lose control from heavy hits and cannot be knocked back for 10 seconds. This is the only no knockback perk on Sniper. Pretty nice for like melee attacks and stuff like that, and 20% health damage reduction is also a pretty nice bonus. And the final perk here is, of course, Pattern of Excellence. Performing 3 consecutive headshots restores equipment charge by 1. Cooldown is 30 seconds. Now, this perk is incredible. 30-second melt-a-bombs, crack grenades, shock grenades, and even frags are just top tier in this game. Anything that breaks the pickup economy of a game like this is going to be an incredible perk, and this is no different, especially considering how strong melt-a-bombs are in Space Marine 2 in pretty much every single game mode. Definitely grab this because it is that good of a perk. Now, for the Prestige perk slots, Emperor's Grace. When Camo Cloak activates, you become invulnerable to damage for 2 seconds. This perk is just an incredible option, and being invulnerable in Space Marine 2 is just super useful because attacks will phase right through you and you won't get knocked over. And next perk here is Versatile Precision. Performing a kill with your secondary weapon restores 15% of your primary weapon's ammo. Cooldown is 15 seconds. This solves all ammo economy problems for you pretty much on all sniper weapons, but this is really nice to have on the Marksman Carbine because our overall ammo economy is just not that great on this option. Now, for the final two, we do take Conviction because a 25% health damage reduction is just going to save your life. And the final perk here is Exacting Focus. After a gunstrike, you will deal 20% more range damage for 10 seconds. This is a super nice range damage buff and is really easy to trigger because a 10-second uptime is a pretty long option, and also gun strikes are super easy to pull off on Minoris enemies, Majoris enemies, Extremis enemies, and even Terminus. So that's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The Marksman Carbine is pretty good. Maybe not like the best option ever, but definitely a pretty decent one. I've also taken this versus Chaos and stuff like that. It still performs pretty well, so hopefully this build guide helped you. Hey guys, first regards from here, and so I'll be talking about a Stalker bolt rifle build for the Sniper class in patch 11.2 of Space Marine 2. Now, the Stalker bolt rifle and the Power Gladius we'll be going into later are both incredible boss melting weapons in this game. Zoanthropes and Neurothropes especially take tremendous per shot damage from the Stalker bolt rifle, and the variant I've chosen today to maximize this damage is, of course, the Firepower Headshot Multiplier version. Now, the rate of fire version has a higher DPS if you nail every single headshot, but personally, I prefer per shot damage just because sometimes you have to take pot shots in this game, and this version is just better for that. Now, for the perk tree here, we just go all the way down the top row, starting off with the perk here, Unwavering Resolve. After reloading while having low ammo, damage increases by 25% for 5 seconds. This is really damn good on all variants, but especially good in the rate of fire version because that 5-second period is just easier to get more shots off with this one than this one, but still good in the firepower variant in really every single other option. Next perk here is Adamant Hunter. When your health is below 30%, headshots will deal 25% more damage. This perk generates way more value than you might initially expect. A 25% headshot damage bonus is substantial, and even though you're below 30% HP to trigger this, that's really not too bad on the Sniper class, and mainly because Sniper has a perk over here, Conviction. When your armor is fully depleted, you will take 25% less health damage for 15 seconds, on top of the perk over here, Purification, that will give you back all of your CHP off a single Camo Cloak activation, which makes it pretty easy to survive some difficult scenarios because you do have basically 2 safety nets here, so a really good option and really substantial damage bonus. Now, next perk here is Headhunter, moving here into the perk Cleaving Fire. This one lets your damage go through block stances a little bit, kind of okay to like pick up some free kills and execute sometimes, but overall not like that good of a perk. The next perk we take here is Headhunter once again for another 10% headshot damage bonus. Then I move here into the amazing perk Agile Hunter. After a perfectly timed dodge, headshots will deal 35% more damage for 10 seconds. Now, a 35% damage buff for 10 seconds is a very powerful damage buff for a very long uptime. This has a great synergy on this build overall because we have a ton of benefits to our perfect dodge here with things like evasion, which gives us a camo cloak on perfect dodge, on top of getting bonus damage on the Power Gladius with their perfect. Because your ranged weapon and your melee weapon will both get damage bonuses as you do perfect dodges with this build, so a really good synergy there and really great perk in general. Next perk here is Fast Reload for 10% faster weapon reloads, moving here into the perk Great Might for a 10% damage bonus against Terminus level enemies. And the final perk here is, of course, Recoupment. Killing a Majoris level or higher enemy with a headshot with this weapon restores 1 armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. Now, armor restore on a drip feed in this game is incredible. This perk will save you so much damn HP, especially on classes like Tactical or when you're not using things like Purification. Really great option, and any amount of armor remaining in Space Marine 2 will reduce all incoming melee damage to 0 damage, even from bosses, so just keep that in mind. Great option, pretty much always pick this up, and that's pretty much all there is for the Stalker bolt rifle. Now for the secondary option, you do have quite a few choices. You could take the Heroic bolt pistol for the 3-round burst mechanic with consecutive execution. This is pretty strong. I would set up this way, but overall, I would probably take the Heroic heavy bolt pistol or the Inferno pistol these days. Inferno pistol stocks are way up after Chaos Spawn came out. Having stagger versus chaos is really nice to have, especially for things like minigun terminators and stuff like that. And overall, this weapon is very ammo efficient, even though you won't be able to trigger things like versatile precision as easily, mainly because this weapon doesn't have like the best damage per shot ever, but still pretty good. And I would set up this way just because you have things like magazine restoration or adamant restoration, which gives you 25% of your maximum ammo capacity back when you drop below 30% HP, which is really not too bad at all on Sniper, like we mentioned before. This is like one of the only ammo restoration perks in the entire game. Now, I would definitely go down the bottom perk tree here first, Perpetual Range, and the perk here, Brace Reload, mainly because the perk up here, Motivated Melee, might be like the most overrated perk in all Space Marine 2. The damage calculation for this perk is not very good at all, and a 20% damage buff is really not as good as it sounds initially. Now, the other option I would take here is the Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol, Retribution's Bequest. It has the heroic perk effect here called No Help Is Coming. Shooting an enemy with the Elite Supreme status stops it from calling for reinforcements, and headshots will kill in one shot. Now, unfortunately, in patch 11.2, this perk is currently bugged. Body shots will do nothing to stop a reinforcement call, but headshots will still kill in one shot, so still really useful. And even though this weapon has a 6 magazine capacity and a 48 ammo reserve, it's really not too bad on the ammo efficiency, mainly because on hard stratagems and absolute difficulty, when you interrupt a reinforcement calling enemy, they'll pretty much immediately go enraged, and because of that, being able to one-shot them with a single bullet is actually saving you a ton of ammo on top of getting rid of the reinforcement call. So a really good perk effect here, even though it's bugged. Now for the actual perk tree on this, I do go down the bottom tree all the way into the most important perk here, Death Strike. After killing a Majoris level or higher enemy in melee combat, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. 25% more damage for 10 seconds is a pretty chunky damage increase for a 10-second uptime, and this perk will also trigger on a finisher, not just a melee kill. Just make sure you have this weapon equipped. Now, next perk here is Great Might, moving here to the perk Strong Start. Then the perk here, Able Damage. After you use a class ability, damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. Once again, a 20% damage buff for 10 seconds is a pretty chunky damage increase for a pretty long uptime. On top of the fact we are a sniper class, and using Camo Cloak happens pretty much all the time. This perk is active like the entire run, at least while you're in combat. Next perk here is Home Precision, up here into the perk Gunstrike Reload, finishing off with the perk Tactical Precision. Headshots will deal 20% more damage, non-headshot damage decreases by 10%. 20% more damage on your headshots is simply far more important in Space Marine 2 than losing non-headshot damage, because bolt weapons are pretty much just a headshot weapon, unfortunately, which is just the way it is, so definitely pick this perk up. That's pretty much all there is for the secondary option. Now for the melee weapon here, we do take the Heroic Combat Knife Power Gladius. This one has a 14 strength, 7+ speed, and 2 cleaving potential in the balanced defense type. Now despite having a balanced defense type, this weapon is the highest damage knife in the entire game, because the heroic perk effect here is called Agile Strike. After a perfect dodge, the next melee attack deals 120% more damage and can be stacked up to 3 times. Now, this perk will actually linger for 1 second after the initial melee attack, so you get a ridiculous damage buff from this. If you stack this perk on a Shadow Stab on top of things like Tactical Ambush and Evasion, you will just do a disgusting amount of damage to bosses and things like that, and this is one of the most powerful boss nuking tools in all of Space Marine 2. Now for the perk tree on this, I do pick up Perpetual Strength first, moving here into the perk Kinetic Energy. Each consecutive heavy attack increases heavy attack melee damage by 3% up to 30% for 3 seconds. Moving here to the perk Perpetual Strength, and we pick up the extra Perpetual Strength perk once again for another 5% damage increase. Then I move here into the perk Heavy Onslaught. Heavy attacks with this melee weapon deal 15% more melee damage. This perk will affect Shadow Stab, not just like the normal Skull Crushers you do, so even better than it sounds initially. And the next perk here is Ruling Blow, which like really isn't too important. We pick this one up, so we go down here into the perk Shadow Stab. Replace your heavy swing with Shadow Stab, hold the attack button to charge it, damage increases by 200% per 1 second of charging. This perk is incredible. It's like the main selling point of the knife. This weapon is primarily a single target weapon, and this is like the highest single target damage in the entire game, besides things like Aftershock and the thrust jab of a power fist, so really good option. Definitely grab this one pretty much always. Next perk here is Tide of Battle, moving here into the perk Terminus Slayer to get that bonus boss damage. So if you don't want to take this, you want to take the Extremis Slayer instead, you definitely can. I just prefer to nuke bosses with this build, so definitely pick this one up if you like that. That's pretty much all there is for the combat knife. Now, for the sniper perk tree here, we do take melee mastery first. Melee damage increases by 20% against Majora's level and higher enemies. This perk is incredible for a damage increase. This is a multiplicative damage buff, which is super powerful in this game, like one of the best melee damage buffs in Space Marine 2, period. And next perk here is adaptability. Reloading while having low ammo or manually activating Camo Cloak increases melee damage by 25% for 10 seconds. We use Camo Cloak all the time on the sniper class, and a 25% melee damage buff for 10 seconds is pretty damn nice to have. And really, these perks up here are kind of redundant. Next perk here is Iron Grip. Weapon spread and recoil are reduced by 20%, and range damage against terminus level enemies is increased by 15% for both sniper rifles and Stalker bolt rifles. Hey, Stalker bolt rifles us, so definitely pick this perk up, because unfortunately, these other two perks do quite literally nothing for this build, so always pick up Iron Grip with a bolt sniper or a Stalker bolt rifle. Next perk here is Squad Renewal. A headshot kill restores ability charge by 10% for any team member. Moving here to the perk Purification. Manually activating Camo Cloak removes negative status effects and restores all of your CHP. This perk is incredible. It is an absolute lifeline for the sniper class. You will just die significantly less with Purification active. Super powerful option. Definitely pick this up as a safety net if you're uncomfortable with the sniper class. If you want to go with like something a little hard to use but more damaging overall, you could pick up Renewal down here, and the perk Marksmanship, or the perk here Precision Targeting. That is up to you. These just like buff up your damage versus respective enemy types, or like generic headshot damage. And this perk will just enable your Camo Cloak, because definitely pick up Renewal or Squad Renewal, because without these two perks, like at least one of them, you will have a terrible Camo Cloak management. So definitely pick up at least one of these. Now, next perk here is Tactical Ambush. The first melee attack that breaks Camo Cloak deals 150% more damage. This perk is incredible if you power Gladius, especially with a great synergy on the evasion perk here. After a perfectly timed dodge, Camo Cloak automatically activates without spending a charge for 5 seconds. The cooldown is 30 seconds. This perk isn't like the strongest perk in the entire signature tree, because Pattern of Excellence does give you 30-second melt-a-bombs, but still an incredible option, and great option for things like Tactical Ambush especially. Next perk here is Persistence. When Camo Cloak deactivates, you will take 20% less health damage and will lose control from heavy hits and cannot be knocked back for 10 seconds. This perk is just a free damage reduction on top of no knockback on the Sniper, and Sniper really does not have any no knockback in this game outside of this and like Emperor's Grace, so definitely pick this perk up. Now for the Prestige perk tree, I do take Emperor's Grace first. When Camo Cloak activates, you become invulnerable to damage for 2 seconds. This perk is an incredibly powerful effect. Invulnerability in Space Marine 2 is quite rare as a perk effect in general, and basically, this is the ultimate form of no knockback. While these 2 seconds of invulnerability are active, you will phase through enemy attacks, like even bosses will just go right through you, nothing can knock you over, and you take no damage. So really good for setting up things like Camo Cloak, Shadow Stabs, and stuff like that. So a really great perk, definitely grab this. Next perk here is Versatile Precision. Performing a kill with your secondary weapon will restore 15% of your primary weapon's ammo. The cooldown is 15 seconds. This perk is just an ammo economy solver for your entire class. Really great perk effect. It just keeps you topped off on your primary ammo, and overall, this is just the salvation of the Bolt Sniper, in my opinion. At least that's the non-heroic one. Next perk here is Conviction. When your armor is fully depleted, you will take 25% less health damage for 15 seconds. This perk makes you incredibly tanky. Pretty much pick this up on any class ever. Having a 25% health damage reduction in a Prestige perk slot is just top tier in Space Marine 2. It will prevent damage nukes. It will keep you alive. Definitely grab this. And the final perk I grab is Exacting Focus. After a gun strike, you deal 20% more range damage for 10 seconds. This is just a super easy to pull off 20% range damage buff, and range damage buffs aren't that common in Space Marine 2, and this is like just easy to pull off on even my Nors, the gun strikes and stuff like that. And that's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The Stalker Bolt Rifle really is one of the most powerful bolt weapons in Space Marine 2. Per shot damage is godly, pretty easy to use, definitely more forgiving than like a Bolt Sniper Rifle, and overall, I enjoy this build quite a bit, and hopefully this build guide helped you. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And I want to say thank you to all of my channel members. You help keep the channel going, and I appreciate you guys a ton. And as always, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Bye. You play your heavy as Deathwing. You definitely do the Deathwing color scheme. It actually looks really good in this game too, I think. But oh, man, I shouldn't have wasted all of that. Alright, I want to kill them. I want to get rid of these guys first if I can. If I can get 3 charges up, that'd be pretty good too. I didn't want to summon in the reinforcements on Osborne there if I could help it without getting a one-shot on him. There we go. So we kept them below, or we kept them above 50% HP, so these reinforcements didn't come in to wreck Osborne. That was the main reason. Seems balanced. It is a balanced weapon. How'd you know? It's the power Gladius. Got the balanced parry window after all. Ow. Alright, I'm just gonna get rid of this guy. What's the mods update? There was a big update to the Astartes overhaul we're going to in a little bit. That cheeky Astropath true. I mean, Power Gladius is one of the most entertaining builds in this whole game right now, in my opinion. It's really fun for tack and sniper. And knife on tack is like really boring before Power Gladius, in my opinion. But, like now it's fun as fuck. Love this thing. Are they ever going to make a block heroic? Almost certainly. Now, they didn't confirm the next ones are going to be block or not, but they probably will be.
That generator needs fresh power cells.
Give me your tiny head. Can't hit anything, I'm blind. Alright, please, thank you for staying still. Alright, a 10% hit chance. Probably like a 5% hit ratio ain't that bad, right guys? What do you call it? Problem is the block heroic will probably immediately be best in the slot for that weapon. Probably. Depends on the actual base stats for it. Oh, hello.
Stealth ready. Bringing new power cell.
You Dawn of War 4 now? Yeah, that new Orc cinematic looks great. There we go. Grab this one.
Power cell here. I have a power cell. Video line cloak ready. Heretics on the field. Connecting the power cell. Bridge enabled. Protective field negated. Eliminate master powers immediately. End as abomination's existence. Active camouflage charge. Abomination terminated. Reloading. Another heretic dies glimpsing the truth. Their dark gods are but lies. The astropath is unprotected.
I would see the death of Chiron, Akron in a cutscene, or at least make it an opening for Space Marine 3. There's a definite maybe chance it'll happen. I hope so. I was hoping to see more of Chiron. He was there for the burning of Calth, which was a pretty huge event in 40k.
Eliminate hostile astropaths.
You know, Saber Interactive also talked about a chain axe variant for heroic weapon. People asked them about it. They said that Games Workshop said no. So it does sound like Saber at some point wanted to have more unique weapons be represented as like heroic variants, but they said no. It's a big NO. Maybe Chaos captured them before they died? I doubt it. I'm gonna hold my breath.
Something, but it is our duty to kill it. I am not target practice. Changing magazine. Helio line engaged. The horror has been purged. Readying next volley. Stealth ready. I am a phantom of death.
We just combined our evasion and invisibility with our standard invis to just go
No shade.
almost one-shot that dude. Your sorry ass is still here hoping for block multi-melta. I don't know if I'd want block on a heavy. I think fencing is actually better for him. Considering his no knockback comes from Gunstrike in this game, he doesn't really have a no knockback perk on his own. I hope that the heroic auto bolter will be a storm bolter. That would be amazing, but
Look down. The object of their summoning
I doubt
lies
it.
at the edges of real space.
I think Games Workshop wants all those weapons to be individual weapons is why. Time to use my... I think he has a headshot multiplier now somewhere in that. It's probably the big face thing.
Fire on that abomination. Those power streams will sear through Ceramite. Lights me.
That was very rude, this boss.
Camellia line.
Thank God it's a Laramie Cells mission where you just get all your shit back.
My target. Changing target. The warp spawn is falling back.
You sure the glowing thing about the warp boss? No.
This does not look like the astropathic relay. Course wrong. Atmospheric conditions are caustic. We must find a way out. That light may be our salvation.
Oh dear.
Finally, I am free to press the attack from this side.
I don't have a very good build for this portion.
Immediately. Rearming. Abomination terminated.
Hey, Vortex Beach to the fashion wise, pretty fun boss.
Those appendages need to go. Active camouflage charge.
I have like a super quick way to kill these guys. Plasma will one-shot these dudes, but Inferno Pistol is really good. It's just not super good for blowing these guys apart. At least you have the Laramie cells active.
Camellia line.
That would almost killed me.
And tentacles are priority targets.
I think I could just cheese this and have the wait for my teammates to come back except doing this last one. As long as you run around, like I just let my HP restore here. It's the benefit of this modifier.
Camellia line engaged. Stealth ready.
Well, let's Camo Cloak cancel this every time. Or not. I did load preemptively there.
Those appendages need to go. Active camouflage charged.
That's annoying.
Camellia line cloak ready. I am a phantom of death.
I guess we'll just do it this way.
The tentacles are
I want to
priority
roll.
targets.
If I can help it.
Stealth ready.
Do you customize your controls? I only changed the aiming key. If I was a different class, I would just change over some of this, but Sniper's not super good at killing the Vortex Beast on its own. Not awful, it's just not the best. There we go.
Readying next volley.
It's only because the Chaos Spawn portion gets a little rough on him by himself.
It is not done fighting yet. Get clear of those attacks.
Auspex with a Stealth Thunder Hammer plus 50% health deleted. Yeah, I mean, Auspex is just nuts.
Avoid those energy
Alright.
bursts. Unseen ice on my target. Active camouflage charged. Rearming.
I gotta get rid of that thing, but
They shall not.
here we go. Let's use our cloak.
Starting life support system. I resemble a foe.
Please do not nade me. Okay. Ow.
Reloading.
Maybe a Stalker bolt rifle is not the pick for a Vortex piece,
The demonic beast.
considering he doesn't have the most kind of all hitboxes.
Those foul cultists first. Stop those vile traitors from reviving the demon.
I'm not get rid of these guys. I don't really care.
Stealth ready.
Sniper is definitely not a sniper in general, in your opinion. I mean, sniper is not the strongest class versus the Vortex beast. Probably the worst, actually. But actually, Vanguard might be the worst. But Stalker bolt rifle, especially, doesn't really have a super epic headshot multiplier versus him.
Your aim tries my patience.
You want your Tech Marine update? You probably get it in like March.
Changing magazine. Stay in cover until the barrage ceases.
What the fuck? Get hit by 2. Ow.
Inserting fresh magazine. Camelio line cloak ready. Execute target now.
God damn it. Alright, whatever. It's dead. What a slog that was. No, you don't want to wait till March? I got bad news for you, buddy. You're probably gonna be waiting till March. March is simply the chosen timeline for that. Alright, let's see what we got here. It was rough.